Jumping right on into the video, today we're going to be using the e.l.f. Prep and Hydrate Balm. I'm using this as a primer, and I was wiping off little hairs that were stuck to it. But I am just putting this all over my face and then massaging it in to give me some hydration, almost acting like a moisturizer base without actually having to put moisturizer or primer on. The next step we're going into is we're using the Morphe eyelid primer. This is new and I had never used it before. I am just placing 2 little dots on my eyelids and blending that in with my finger. This actually kept my eyeshadow on all night long. And then I'm just going to set that with this little Wet n Wild Creme Brulee single eyeshadow and my Real Techniques brush. I zoomed you guys in nice and close. I'm using the Morphe M504 fluffy brush, and I'm going into the Sweet Peach palette by Too Faced, and I'm using the shade Peach Tea as a start for a transition, and I'm just putting that right into the crease, a little bit above the crease, just kind of throwing that on there, not really being too precise with it. Next, I am going in with the shade STFU in a NYX single eyeshadow, and this is a very bright yellow color. And I am going in on a Morphe M518 brush. I am also using the shade as another transition color to just layer and brighten up the eye. Next, I am layering on an orange shadow with the Morphe M505 brush, and I mixed together Hunts and Roxanne from the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette, and I also dipped into the shade Whimsy from the Tarteist palette as well. And I am just putting that directly into the crease and then blending it just a little bit into that yellow to get that nice gradient effect. Next, I'm going in with a Morphe M330 brush, and I'm going into the Rosé in the Air palette by Wet n Wild with this very bright neon pink purple color, and I am just packing that all over the lid, blending it into that orange shade to get that gradient effect. Then to even deepen it up, I am going in with a Morphe M514 brush into the shade Drama in the Tarteist Pro palette, which is just a deeper purple color to just create more definition to the eye look. And I tried putting this really close to the lash line, but I blended it up just a little bit to deepen the whole purpley vibe, and then blended it with the other purple shade from the Wet n Wild palette. Next, I'm going in with this e.l.f. liquid liner just to give myself a cat eye. I'm putting that all over my waterline and then winging it out, as you can see. I'm using a piece of tape so that way my eyeshadow will be very sharp and defined, just like my winged eyeliner. One tip for if you're going to be using tape to help you with eyeshadow or winged eyeliner is just put the tape on the back of your hand first, so that way it isn't too harsh and tugs at your eye when you put it on your face. Next, we are going in with the L'Oreal Infallible Pro eyeliner pencil, and we are tight lining. And before we put on false lashes, we have to put a little mascara on. This is the Clinique High Impact Mascara. We're just prepping our lashes so that way they blend easier when we do put the false lashes on. And I use the e.l.f. new false lashes in Winged and Polished. They're really natural looking on the eyes. For the face, I went in with the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea foundation, and I am just taking this in sections all over my face, blending it in with my L'Oreal Beauty Sponge. I went in with the shade Light Neutral, I do believe. It was a little bit too fair for me. I was on the tanner side when I put this on, but I am just putting that all over my face. Obviously, you guys have seen me put foundation on many times, so I don't think there needs to be a whole lot of explanation. As for concealer, we are using the Urban Decay Naked Skin, and I'm using the shade Light Neutral, I believe, and I am just highlighting the face with this more than anything, and I put that underneath my eyes and also on the other high points of my face, like my forehead, nose, and chin. I just didn't show that in the video. I'm just blending this out with the same sponge that I blended my foundation out with, being very careful to blend that right near the wing so that way we get that nice cut look from the wing. And excuse my silly faces. Going in to set the face, I'm using the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder and the little powder puff that came with it. I had the little travel size version because I wanted to try it out first, and I absolutely am in love with this powder because it has become one of my new favorites because it sets the makeup so nice. It does have a little bit of a white cast when you put it on, but it definitely helps keep your makeup in place, and it is not too drying on the skin. So I just basically put that underneath my eyes, chin, forehead, everywhere that I get oily, and then I'm wiping this off with a big fluffy brush. I'm going in with the new Morphe 8H High Low palette, and I'm using the shade Blogger on a Morphe M530 brush to bronze up the face a little bit. I know that this is a contouring brush, but I love how precise it gets on the face. I don't like having my contour too blown out because it can kind of make your face look a little bit too dark, but I definitely wanted to add that dimension in there, so I thought that this was a really nice brush to complement the contour and bronzer. Next, I'm going in to actually contour the face, and I'm using the shade Donut on a Morphe M523 brush to chisel out that cheekbone really nicely. As you can see, I have powder baking underneath my contour, so that way it'll make it stick out a little bit more. But this is a really nice contouring brush because of how tapered it is, so it really gets into that hollowed out cheekbone area. Next, I'm going in with this new blush trio by Morphe, and this is in the shade Coral, I believe, and I'm going back in on that 523 blush, and I am just turning it on the flat side, and I am using that to apply my blush. I'm pushing it back a little bit further than usual to blend in with that contour a little bit more. And then we are moving on to the lower lash line. I am just taking another Morphe brush. It'll be down in the description, but I am just putting that right underneath my lash line to give that depth and dimension, and then I am just smoking it out with a Morphe M507 brush, and I am dipping into the shade that was in the Wet n Wild palette, the pink shade, and on the flatliner brush it was that Drama shade from the Tarteist palette, and then I am just adding a little bit of yellow orange on top of that to just have that gradient effect, just like how we do on the eyes. We're going back in with a L'Oreal eyeliner, and we were just putting that on our waterline. And to really finish off the eyes, I'm going to go in with this Wet n Wild Skinny mascara to do my lower lash line. Since this is more of a dramatic look, we really made it smoky but also colorful at the same time. So I am making my lower lashes a little bit more dramatic to match my upper lashes and the whole eye look, of course. For my inner corner highlight, I am either going in with the Shimmer shade in the Rosé in the Air palette from Wet n Wild, or I am taking the highlight that I used on my face from the Morphe palette that you'll see later on in the video, but I am just putting that on the inner corners of my eye and on the highest points of my brow. To set everything in place, I am using the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist Spray, and this is a beautiful setting mist. It keeps your makeup locked in place, and it just applies so nicely, and you feel like it's so refreshing when you're putting it on. And I'm just tapping that in with a beauty sponge to get rid of any wet marks. Then I'm going to go in with this highlight in the shade Beam from the Contour, Shimmer, and Sculpt palette, and I'm using a Morphe M510 brush to apply this to all the high points on my face, my cheekbones, my nose, cupid's bow, and above the forehead just a little. This is the finished product. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you got to see the nice tutorial using the new Morphe products, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.